Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with provisions of this Act, the Belvidere Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted with the Star Ledger and Express Times and submitted to the Town Clerk of the Town of Belvidere on January 16, 2022. Meeting will be live streamed at www.belvideresd.org. Flag salute. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Ackerman? Mr. Blum? Mrs. Costantino? Dr. Zuppeth?
Here.
Mrs. Duckworth? Kennedy? Mrs. Scott?
Here.
Baroka? Steffen?
Here.
Mr. Ty? Mrs. Weidlich? Mr. Scott?
Committee reports. We'll be going to executive for personnel, but finance. Nope. I just didn't know if I missed it because I saw it on the. All right, so I guess we're going to be going into executive session. Motion to go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion go into executive session. Personnel committee updates. Any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as practicable. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session at the conclusion of the closed session in approximately 20 minutes. All right.
Aye.
Okay, closing that session. Okay, the New Jersey Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Belvidere Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted with the Star Ledger and Express Times and submitted to the Town Clerk of the Town of Belvidere on January 16, 2022. Flags. The meeting will be live streamed at www.belvideresd.org. Flag salute.
To the flag. United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Ackerman? Blum? Costantino? Mr. Zuppeth? Mrs. Duckworth? Kennedy? Mrs. Scott?
Here.
Baroka? Steffen?
Here.
Ty? Mrs. Weidlich? Mr. Scott?
Okay. Any public participation? Okay. Correspondence. All right. Superintendent's report.
I wasn't ready. We usually don't go that quick. I just have a few things to mention. First two will be on wrapping up the school year and how things went. I'd like to start out by talking about our two graduations this year. I thought they were both outstanding ceremonies. The 8th grade move-up ceremony, well, it was a little bit warm that night on the field. It was just, I thought it was an outstanding ceremony. I love having the 8th grade program outside. A lot of people were able to attend and sit in the stands. Thought the young ladies who did most of the talking did a great job again. And overall, very well done. So congratulations to the 8th graders and to the 8th grade advisors who helped that out. The high school graduation, I thought, also was outstanding. Actually, that was my 12th high school graduation, 9 as superintendent. I actually thought it was the best one that we've had, quite frankly. It was a little bit earlier of a start time at 1 o'clock, but we had a great, I thought, great crowd for that. Our valedictorian and our salutatorians, Emma and Emma, did an outstanding job. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, you should. Emma Hickey, for the first time I've ever seen, gave credit to other students in her speech, and it was really, really well done. It was a really nice touch, really talking about how, while not everybody can be number one in the class, everyone is great at something, and she took the time to pick out 5 kids. I thought that was really, really well done. It was a nice touch. So our senior advisors did a great job. Just want to thank Mr. Barrick and his crew again for setting everything up. It's a lot of moving around and getting everything done, but outstanding job. So well done to the administration too on that, and hopefully we can continue that. I know a lot of you know right now we're in the middle of our summer camps. It's been going outstanding. We've had outstanding attendance. Mr. Bartow just made me aware of one hiccup that happened with one student getting hurt, but it was actually after the camp was over. So sorry to hear that, but otherwise we've had outstanding participation, and it seems like our goal of trying to bring the kids together is really, really working out well. So look forward to continuing that tradition, and hopefully next week goes as smooth, or a week from now goes as smoothly too. Just real quick, we will do some committee meetings over the summer. I'll get some potential dates out there. We obviously just talked about personnel, when that would be, but we'll just try to make sure we at least have a curriculum meeting. Instructional council is set for the 24th also, just to make sure everybody keeps in mind when these meetings are. A week ago, Friday, we had a feasibility study meeting with the cluster. It was well attended. We had probably about 10 people in the meeting. We were able to meet with Mr. Magyar he works for Rowan now, but he was from the state and wrote and designed the law for the feasibility study. Shelley this morning submitted the application after having Mark check it for us, and he thought it was actually complimented, that it was really well written and well done. So we should be moving forward. The next step for us once we get the grant will be to just choose who we should use to do the study. Mr. Magyar was pushing more of an educational consultant rather than an attorney. And he actually had mentioned by name one particular group. He actually mentioned it probably about 4 times. And I did reach out to that person, and they are interested in working with us. So once we get the grant money, we'll go back to the committee and we'll just present that. And lastly, I just want to congratulate publicly Dr. McKinney. Jess successfully defended her dissertation on Monday, so congratulations, Jess. A lot of hard work. Well done. So, and that's all I have, a quick little wrap-up of the year.
Quick question, Chris, on the application. Do you have any idea what the time frame is to hear back for the money?
He didn't say, but it sounded like it would be relatively quick.
Okay.
Like my takeaway, and Ms. Weidlich was in the meeting as was Shelley, I got the impression that by the fall we'd be underway.
Okay, good.
As long as the group can agree on who will actually do the study.
Good. Okay.
That it won't be. And the other thing to mention too, because it's a budget issue, is because we're participating in the study, and we didn't think about it prior, but we will get half of our state aid cut back, which was a big issue for Hope and White, which is one of the reasons why they're interested. But now that we're actually on the receiving end of a state aid cut, we should be getting half of it back also.
Oh, good.
Very productive meeting.
I just have a clarification on
Sure.
that. Are you saying we will get the state aid cut back by half for the budget that just finished, or for the upcoming budget?
Well, the one that just finished. So, like, for example, I don't know what White Township lost. We lost, I'll use
Right,
3.
but like for Belvidere, we were,
Right,
what,
so we lost, I think
300?
it was $380-ish thousand. We'll be getting this current year back $190 of it.
Okay.
Once we sign off, once we or agree to be in the participation, once it begins.
That was his read of the law.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
That was his read of how the law states, but because we're not specifically on the S2 schedule, I'm a little bit crossing my fingers that that's all happens.
Okay, and did they say that they were going to explore all options that were requested, or just some?
So that'll be up to the committee itself, which way to go. When we talked to Mark, he said, basically, you can explore every option and any option. The issue that actually came up was the Great Meadows piece, and I can say that publicly because they were part of that committee. I guess I'll use technically. They can't be part of the study because they're part of a send-receive relationship. However, because they had reached out to Hackettstown to regionalize and Hackettstown turned them down, they then are eligible to join our study.
Okay, so the grant will cover the study on all different, and there's not a question that we will have to pay for any of the options.
No, the idea will be that when we talk to the consultant, we will basically give the list of all the options we are looking for as a cluster. And it should be, again, we're going by what Mr. Magyar said, but he did write the law, so I'm assuming he has a pretty good knowledge of it. He basically said that, we threw out the number of 150,000 for the study. He said should be easily covered. All questions should be easily covered in that amount, under that amount.
Thank you.
when you met, was Great Meadows part of it?
They were. Yeah, their superintendent was there, no board members, but their superintendent was part of the meeting.
All right. I don't know if I'm still on. Yeah? Okay. Reorganization section, motion to open up the reorganization section?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? We have numbers 1 through 11. There is a change on number 9. We got an addendum. Any discussion?
No change in the reorg.
Oh, on the person, that's right. Number 9 is for personnel. Any discussion, numbers 1 through 11? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Ackerman? Mrs. Cosentino? Dr. Zuppeth?
Yes.
Mrs. Duckworth? Mrs. Kennedy? Mrs. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Roca?
Yes.
Mrs. Steffen?
Yes.
Mrs. Weidlich?
Yes.
And Mr. Scott?
Moving to personnel. Motion to approve personnel items, numbers 1 to 18. There
Motion.
was an
Second.
addendum.
Oh, sorry, we
Second.
cut her off.
Any
Thank you for
discussion? Make sure you look at the personnel addendum there.
Through 18C.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Ackerman? Mrs. Cosentino? Dr. Zuppeth? Yes. Duckworth? Kennedy?
Yes, except number 3 is a no.
Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Roca?
Yes.
Mrs. Steffen?
Yes.
Mrs. Weidlich?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
All right, moving to education items. Motion to approve education items numbered 19 to 23.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Business items. Motion to approve business items numbered 24 to 37.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Abstentions? All right, continuing business. I had a feasibility study you answered. I was also just going to comment on camps. I know that we, adding the ad hoc committee, spent a lot of time getting those together, and I couldn't be happier. And I actually got a couple of text messages from moms in the community of how happy they were, especially last week, just driving by and seeing just the fields filled with kids. So it's really been well received. My own son and the other son that I have that's helping. It's been a great experience. So kudos, Mr. Bartow, for getting that all rolling, and I think the kids are loving it. Yeah, the high school kids have been great, really great.
You guys have your mics on.
Instructional council, we talked about the survey. I know that you have that information. Are we, as a board, going to get that before our August meeting? That was my continuing.
Yes, the plan to, just real quick, I sent the survey out probably about a week before school. I don't know the exact date. I had asked the staff to finish it before they left. I left it open until last Wednesday, which was the 22nd, just to give you a couple of quick statistics, but I will give I'll write a detailed report. 50 of the staff members filled out the survey, so roughly about half. And we had 67% of those 50 say that there was a morale issue and 33% said no. Of those 50, 24 were Belvidere High School staff members, 22 Belvidere Elementary, and 4 from the Child Study Team. And those that did mention that there was a morale issue, the 3 biggest, again, this is my read of it, I'll be happy to share all the information. 3 biggest issues were, number 1, discipline in both buildings seemed to be a major concern. We did talk about that, and we talked about that at length in instructional council. And in fact, I'll bring this up now. One of the things was the use of cell phones too. That was a recurring theme, and that is something that we are going to take a strong look at over the summer and have some recommendations for the board for the August meeting. The second thing was a perceived lack of respect for the teachers as educators and professionals. And number three, there was some concerns with child study team. So those were the three biggest common themes. There was more to it, but I'll put a summary together. I'll probably have it out at the end of next week for the board.
Speaking of discipline, I mentioned it last time too, on the point system. I know Mr. Bartow is supposed to be working on that this summer. Is there anything else we need to do as far as curriculum with that?
No, I think what we'll do is we'll bring, I know we're talking about it at the high school, also talking about it at the elementary school. We'll bring that forward to the curriculum committee when we meet hopefully towards the end of July, early August as a review.
Okay. Sorry, I kind of took over that. Anybody else with continuing business? I just had a little list I had to go through.
Do we want to discuss the finance continuing business regarding what direction to move with the fields and how we want to handle that? I think at the last meeting, it was left that we should have a board vote to determine if we wanted to move forward towards a referendum.
I think my only question was I just wanted to see the path on how we could make this happen or not before I made a decision. But I guess if the referendum's the only avenue, then I guess the Finance Committee has nothing to review. But if there are alternate options, maybe something where we only did the track or only did the stadium, like just different avenues of options. I know we talked about them, but I'm not sure what I'm requesting, but I just can't quite grasp the big picture of the whole thing and how it would come together. So that's my only concern.
Yeah, I think we have a question on like the process of it. So if we did vote to go to referendum one way or the other, I guess if we were to push forward to referendum, then we're meeting as a subcommittee or finance and deciding exactly what we're putting, because we have to know what we're putting out there, exactly which option, because I was on the committee and there's so many different options out there.
Right.
So I'm assuming that's the progression, but do we even want to move forward? Like, regardless of what we do, we're going to have to go to referendum. Do we want to do that?
I don't feel that we are prepared to vote to go to referendum because I don't think we have a clear path. I think, to your point, there were a lot of different options, and we didn't even agree on anything. So what are we asking people to vote for? I think we need to do like a little bit more work and clarification before we decide to go to referendum.
As a whole, though, because since this is a big topic, I think I have a hard time going to just finance with this.
I
So-
think it almost needs to be an ad hoc
Uh,
committee.
Yeah.
Well, I feel there were several questions. There were still, possibility of grants, how, like, other paths, which one of the projects was the best one. So I think there is work for both. I think really the committee, either an ad hoc committee or the finance committee, whatever we want to sit it, needs to do a lot more legwork, and then it needs to go to the full board for, at least for the options. That's something that we have to decide as a board. And then at that point, we're saying, okay, this is what we want to do, this is what the cost will be, and this is what the next steps are. And if that is referendum, then at that point, we move forward. I think we're, like, to go on referendum with what we have, to me, is just,
I think that maybe the gist for the vote was more what part of the board is interested in moving forward to explore athletic fields and what part of the board is already, it's no question, it's not, I don't, I want to, stop our movement.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and I
'Cause
definitely
I would
want to
agree. I mean, for referendum,
we have to
we would
get
have a
all
lot
the
more
details
discussion.
figured out. But I just have a feeling that there might be people that are completely staunch against it, and for us to go back to committee to iron out the details, okay, this is what we want to move forward, and then find out that half or three-quarters of the board is a no matter what, we're just wasting our time.
so instead of voting on going to referendum or not, maybe we have to vote on if this is something that we want to explore
Right.
any further and that we wanted
That-
to send it.
That's what I think we have to
I
do.
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
think
can
we
word
need,
a motion.
I think we have the options, but to sit there, we can meet again as finance, but we can dial, like, I agree with Jen, we dial in on an option that we all could agree on, but then it gets voted down by the board, then
Right.
we
Well,
probably need to
didn't
almost.
we already agree to that by having them come up with the plans?
No.
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 So I can make a motion, and you can stop me if you want, but I'll make a motion that we move forward with looking at the fields and creating an ad hoc committee to continue moving forward with the change in our athletic fields.
I will second your motion.
There you go.
So now it's rolling out this, it's discussing and it's rolling out this ad hoc committee and how we want to move forward.
Like I think
It's a
I said
motion.
in the last meeting, my biggest hangup is we don't know what the feasibility study is going to be. And with numbers where we are now, I have a hard time swallowing that dollar amount for myself, for other taxpayers, in general. However, if our feasibility study comes out more like many of us would like it to be, and our numbers are bigger, then I would be behind getting the full bigger picture, not going just part way with them. But I'm concerned with the numbers that we have as far as sports go in general. I mean, that's why we did what we did to create the committees we did, just to get kids involved in sports and every aspect. So that's my biggest holdback to it right now personally is, how do I vote yes or no? I'm all for going ahead and looking, because it's going to take a lot of time to sit down and really look at them and decide what would we actually want if we're there. So I don't think we need to hold back on starting that process so we have more information. If the feasibility study comes out to say, this is where we are, if we go for it and our numbers are there, then I think we're ready, prepared to dive into the second part of that.
I
Melissa,
agree.
I agree with that too. And then my
Yeah.
other question on top of that is, what can we do in the meantime to fix some of the issues that are now? And then that's been my biggest problem
The
too.
fields,
Is, yeah, like we have problems that are today that we need to address, and if we can't, kind of act like we're not doing any of that till this big stadium's here. That's not okay either. So that's kind of where my mind goes back and forth with that. So that's sort of the question. Piggyback what you're saying is, we need something, more information on that too.
I think the reason why we're all here is just to do the right thing for the children. And I think one doesn't necessarily have to wait on the other one. I think, to your point, it takes time, and there is no hurt on just really starting the process on getting all the facts. Besides, one might help the other. Like having a better place is a good thing for everyone. Having said that, I think there is a motion on the floor, and I think we need to vote. Do we move forward just to study, or?
Okay, vote now.
All right, are we ready to vote on this? Motion to explore the fields, is that how we want to pose this? And create an ad hoc committee for that purpose. Okay, we had a motion from Heather, we had a second from Doris Alba. Okay, I guess we're roll calling it.
Mr. Ackerman? Mrs. Costantino?
Yes.
Dr. Zuppeth?
Yes.
Duckworth?
Yes.
Mrs. Kennedy? Scott?
Yes.
Soroka?
Yes.
Stefan?
Yes.
Weidlich?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
All right, so now that we're moving forward, rather than me send out an email, any volunteers, somebody that definitely knows that they want to be part of this committee? Got it, anybody else?
I can help if needed.
Hmm.
I'd be on it.
Want to make sure we have at least 3, 4 people. I can, there, anybody else? All right, we got it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You didn't quite get her arm above her shoulder. but-
well, I got her, I got the hand. I'm good at that, the teacher in me there. All right, Danielle, Tom, and Doris Alba. I guess I'll send out an email to you guys on maybe when we could come up with a date and move from there. All right, any other continuing business? All right, new business. I just had a quick question on when we are supposed to be receiving, I know we're on the state's time, but if you received a timeline on when we're supposed to receive NJSLA scores for this year.
We are hearing middle of July, but as you pointed out very eloquently, we are on the state's timeline. So we
Middle
should
of
be
July.
getting middle of July.
Okay.
I'm actually honestly surprised we haven't come in yet because it was supposed to be like with the Start Strong test where it was almost an
Early.
instant,
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't got them yet.
Any other new business?
Are the state scores, they say, are they coming back to just you, or is it the ones that go out to all the parents in the community too?
Yeah, so we get them first. We get them as administration. We have probably usually about a 2 to 3 week window where we can look at them, review them, dispute anything if we need to, and then they go out. Then we release them to the parents. Well, at least that's traditionally how it's been done. We send them out.
There's been some desire in some of the committee meetings by board members to look into possibly getting a second security guard. And I know in a couple of our past meetings, we had talked about some people wanting to review where we are with our safety before we started in September too. Maybe we could just go over that again before September, the doors open.
Sure. Yeah, we can look into that.
And it's already been mentioned, but just reining in cell phone use in school. And I know you said at the August meeting, we'll talk more about that.
Very good.
For August, can we also put on the list cybersecurity?
When it comes to cell phone use, do you want to actually look at the policy? First, the cell phone use, do you want to actually look at the policy?
Yeah, we'll review the policy and make some recommendations. And I do actually have, for those that are on the policy, I just got a new batch of policies in to review. So we'll send those down. We'll put something together for cell phones.
While we're talking about policy, and that's the one committee I've not been a part of since I've been here. I discussed at one point about sports and grades and eligibility, and I know that we follow the NJSIAA policy, but if we can review that and see if we would like to maybe add another layer because of some of the hiccups that happen with that policy. We've talked about those things before, so if we can maybe look at that, I'd appreciate it.
On the list.
Any other new business? Okay, public participation number 2. All right, we have to go to motion to go into executive session for the purpose of HIB.
So moved.
Hib and grievance.
What was that?
And grievance.
Oh, okay. We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to discuss HIB and grievances. Any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as practicable. Minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. The board will reconvene in public session at the conclusion of the closed session in approximately 20 minutes. Okay? Good? Okay. Motion to approve the HIB findings. May 2022 HIB findings, 1 with incident, 1 without incident, and the June 2022 findings, 2 with incident, as presented by,
Motion.
moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? I think we are motioning to adjourn.
Motion.
To adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.